Hi, so we've had a few requests for some videos that are just in the group that people can do, perhaps if they just can't get to any classes in a week, or they're on holiday or something like that. So there's going to be a few videos just popping into the group, and this first one is a restorative class. So always listen to your body. If anything doesn't feel right for you, don't do it, and you can always ask us any questions if you have them. We're going to start on all fours now. So come onto your hands and knees. Have your fingers spread wide and your thumbs pointing towards each other, and then your elbow pits forwards. That puts your shoulders and upper back into really nice alignment. Allow the tops of your feet to rest down onto the mat, and then let your head just relax. Just take a few breaths here to begin with. Long, slow breath in and a long exhale. Again, just another deep breath and a long exhale. We're going to go into the cat-cow now. Take a breath in. As you exhale, you're going to tuck your tailbone under. Start to round your lower back, your middle back, your upper back. Let your head drop down between your arms and you're rounding your back. Take a breath in again here. And as you exhale, you're going to stick your bottom out, so uncurl the tailbone. Moving through the lower back, the middle back, the upper back. Think about bringing your chest through your arms, and your head is the last thing to move. Breath in. And next you exhale, tuck your tailbone under, rounding through the lower back, the middle back, the upper back, and your head again is the last thing to move. We're going to do one more here. Breath in. And as you exhale, stick your bottom out, roll through, all the way through, and head is the last thing to move. Okay, just coming off your hands and knees now, just give your wrists a little twirl around, give your wrists a little shake. And yeah, we're going to go into a child's pose now. So we come back onto all fours, and then we take our bottom back towards our heels and reach our arms forwards to stretch. Reach your arms out in front, let your head rest down on the mat if it will reach. And just take some deep breaths here. See if you can breathe into the back of your rib cage and really feel the upper back expanding with every breath. We're going to walk our hands to the right. So walk them as far to the right as they will go. And again, you can just relax down. You can rest your head down if that feels comfortable for you. And take some deep breaths here. Now the left side of your rib cage is free. So see if when you inhale, you can really expand that left side of the rib cage and the back of the rib cage. Get as much air in as you can. And then we're going to walk our hands back through centre and then over to that left side. Again, just relaxing. Find the position that works for you. I'm just keeping my head away from the mat so that you can hear me speak, but you can absolutely rest your head down. Again, this time you're breathing into the right side of your rib cage and the back of your rib cage. Taking some deep breaths here. And slowly walk your hands back into centre, and then slowly come on up to seated. We're going to turn over onto our back now, so come on down onto your back. And we're going to lie down with the knees bent and the feet flat on the floor. So if you normally need something under your head when you're lying on the floor because your ribs are lifted, just don't have anything under there for now, because we're going to do some spine curls in a moment, so just bear with it for now. But just pop your arms down by your sides, roll your shoulders and collarbones open, allow the back of your rib cage and the back of your pelvis to anchor you down into the mat. And just take a few breaths here, allowing your spine just to settle. And then we're going to take this into a pelvic tilt now. So you're going to tilt your pelvis towards you, flattening out your lower back into the mat, and then tilt the pelvis away from you. and that little space will reappear. So you're just going to tilt your pelvis away and towards you, just nice and slowly, just trying to get some movement around your pelvis and allowing your lower back just to release any tension. So this is a really nice move to do if you wake up with a little bit of a stiff back. So gently tilting your pelvis forwards and backwards. Maybe start to coordinate the movement with the breath. So inhale as you tilt the pelvis away and exhale as you tilt towards you. Inhale as you tilt it away and exhale as you tilt towards you. Coming to rest in the centre now. Let's see if we can move the pelvis side to side. So imagine you've got a little round tea tray balanced on your belly with a marble on it, and you're going to see if you can lift one hip and then the other to allow that marble to roll from side to side. And it doesn't need to be a big movement, and you don't want your knees kind of going all over the place. It's just a very small pelvic tilt from side to side. And then let's see if we can move the pelvis around in a circle. So tilt the pelvis towards you, then to one side, and then away from you, to the other side and back into centre. Let's go around again, smoothing off the circle, making it a little bit more of a flowing movement. And then let's reverse it and go the other way. Noticing if it's different from one side to the other. And then coming to rest back into centre. We're going to take it into a spine curl now, which is where we're going to roll the hips up towards the ceiling and then roll back down again. So nothing under your head. Take a breath in. As you exhale, you're going to tilt your pelvis towards you and then start to roll your hips up away from the mat. Pausing when you get to the top to take a breath, and then as you exhale, you're melting your spine back down into the mat. When you get to the bottom, take a breath in again. Tilt your pelvis towards you and exhale as you roll up. Keep your eyes on the ceiling with this. You don't want to be turning your head if you've put any pressure on your neck. So just keep rolling through that movement. And you're looking to see whether any areas of your spine don't want to articulate. They don't want to come down sequentially. So for me, it's quite often when I get to my lower back area that it feels like it comes down in one big chunk rather than rolling down. So notice how that is for you. If you find an area that feels like a little brick, maybe just roll through that area, so rolling an inch up and down, and seeing if you can roll some tension out of that area to allow it to move more freely. And then roll to the top and pause at the top this time. Hold in there. Can you drop your ribs and lift your hips? Again, can you drop your ribs and lift your hips, stretching through the thighs so your quads are stretching. If you have a lot of tension in your quads, it can make your knees feel a little bit uncomfortable. Notice if your knees are wanting to splay out to the sides. Keep your knees tracking straight ahead and just hold here for a couple more breaths. And then slowly roll your spine down. Bring your knees into your chest. Give your knees a little hug and just rock gently side to side. I've got a creaky floor, creaky mat. Okay, so from here we're going to go into a hip lift. So rather than rolling the spine up, we're just going to lift the hips straight to the ceiling this time. So again, feet and knees are hip width apart. Arms are down by your sides. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, you're going to push into your feet and lift your hips to the ceiling. Take a breath at the top and exhale, just fold back down. Inhale, exhale to lift. Inhale and exhale to lower. So just moving with the speed of your breath. You can go as quickly or as slowly as you like. Think about pushing your feet straight down into the mat. Now you might go really high or you might not go very high. It's completely up to you. It will depend on how much tension you have through your quads, how your ribs are. So just go to where you feel that you can maintain your really good alignment. So I'm not coming up very high today, but that works for me. Okay, So this next time, pause at the bottom and place your hands onto your hip bones here, like you've got your hands in your pockets. And we're only going to lift to halfway. So take a breath and exhale, lift to halfway. And just hold here, breathe in normally. Notice now whether your pelvis is level or whether one side is tipped. And then just lower your hips down. We're going to do that again. So you're lifting your hips and you're going to notice whether your pelvis is level or whether it's tipped, and lower down. Notice as you lift the hips, does it lift level or does one side lift first and then the other? Just a couple more lifts here. And then we're going to lift halfway and hold it again. So we're lifting halfway and holding. Now we're going to see if we can unweight one foot. So we're going to press all of our weight down into our right foot, unweighting the left foot, and then can you lift the left foot away from the floor? Notice if your pelvis drops, and if it does, straighten it out again, and then lower your leg back down. Try the other side. All of your weight now in your left foot. Can you unweight your right foot and then lift your right foot? If your pelvis drops, can you level it back out and place your foot down? We're going to do one more on each side. So you're lifting the left foot and lowering it down. You're lifting the right foot and lowering it down, and then you're going to lower your bottom back down again and pull your knees into your chest and just rock gently from side to side. We're going to do that again, exactly the same again, but this time we're going to have the elbows hovering off the floor so that you can't use your elbows to help to stabilise you. So, hands on the front of your pelvis so that you can feel those hip bones, and then float your elbows away from the floor. We're going to lift again to halfway. Get your stability, make sure that pelvis is level. Can you unweight your left foot and lift your left foot? Again, if you've dropped, just level it out and place that foot down. Same on the other side. Lift the right foot. If you've dropped, level it out and place the foot down. One more on each side. Can you lift the left foot? Can you lift the right foot? And then lower your hips down and bring your knees into your chest. Give your knees a little hug and just rock gently from side to side. Okay, we're going to bring the soles of the feet together now. Let your knees roll out to the side so that you're in your cobbler stretch. Allowing the hips to open and your inner thighs to release. Take a couple of breaths here. If you do need something under your head, feel free to pop that in now. Okay, we're going to float our arms up towards the ceiling now. Interlace your fingers and turn your hands over, pressing the palms to the ceiling. Stretch into your hands, stretch into your fingers, keep your ribs down. And start to slowly take your arms overhead towards the floor behind you. Keep pressing into your hands. When you're ready, we're going to slowly bring the hands back up towards the ceiling. Bring your fingers apart and give your fingers a wriggle. Get as much space between each finger as you can. Circle your wrists around. And reverse, go the other way. And then we're going to gently pull each finger in turn back to stretch out your fingers. And then give them a wriggle again. And then just lower your arms down by your sides. Have your arms out to the sides, palms are facing up, and then we're going to bring the knees back in together. Let's have feet and knees together. Take a breath in here, and as you exhale, allow both knees to roll to one side. Now only let them go as far as you can. Keep the shoulder blades down on the mat. So you're not allowing your rib cage and your shoulder blades to lift. They're going to stay anchored on the mat, and you're just going to twist your lower body. Inhale as you come through center, and exhale, take it over to the other side. Again, keeping your shoulder blades anchored, keeping your ribs down. Inhale to center, and exhale, take it over. So just do a few more of those, just moving with the speed of your breath. And just go as far as feels okay for you. Do one more to each side. And then you're going to bring your knees into your chest again. Bring both knees into your chest, give them a hug. One hand on the top of each knee. You're going to open your knees out to the side and circle around. We're going to do 5 big circles in each direction. And then we're going to reverse and go the other way. Big circles. 2 more. Last one. Keep hold of your right knee and allow your left leg to come back down onto the floor now. Pull your right knee in towards your chest, giving a stretch into your hip. Keep hold of that right leg and straighten it up towards the ceiling, pulling the leg towards you. Let's point and flex our foot here. Just getting some movement through your ankle. And then circling your foot around in one direction. And then reverse and go the other way. And then pull that knee in towards your chest again to stretch. Release the right leg, bring the left knee in towards your chest this time. Give it a hug, pull it in towards you. And then straighten your leg up towards the ceiling, pull that leg towards you again. Point and flex your foot here. Get as much movement through your ankle as you can. And then circle your foot around in one direction. And reverse, go the other way. And then pull your knee in towards your chest again, give a little stretch. And lower your leg down. Okay, we're going to go onto our side now. So coming down to your side, you can have your bottom arm out long, or you can have your head resting in your hands. We're going to do the clam. So knees bent, feet are roughly in line with your spine. Think about what's happening with your pelvis here and notice if your hip has collapsed in towards you. Can you send your hip away, thinking about creating space through your waist? I'm going to keep the feet together and open out that top knee. So notice if your pelvis is wanting to roll back and don't allow it. So there should be no shift in your pelvis at all. It's just that leg opening out and then closing back down. We're going to do 2 more. And then we're going to keep the bottom leg bent but straighten your top leg out and really reach that leg. Make it as long as you can. Again, thinking about length through your waist as you lift and lower your leg here. Keep reaching. 3 more. And then we're going to take that into circles, so keep reaching the leg long and circle around. You can make the circle as big or as small as you like, as long as you're keeping your body super still and the movement is just the leg and it's not your whole body going. And then reverse that circle, go the other way, keep reaching. And then lower that leg down. We're going to do the same on the other side, so come up and over onto your other side. Then set yourself up with your knees bent, your feet roughly in line with your spine, and check again, has your hip collapsed towards you? Send it away if you need to. Keep the feet together and open out that top knee. Keep checking in, make sure that you aren't thrusting your ribs, make sure you've not just allowed everything to collapse into the mat. It should still be nice and active. Two more. And then keep that bottom leg bent, straighten your top leg out, reach the leg long as you lift and lower here. Keep reaching. Two more. Taking it into those circles now, again make it as big or as small as you like, but keep it controlled. Last one, and reverse. Last one, and lower it down. Give it a little rub, give it a little pat. Let's stretch out those hips now. So coming up to seated, both legs out in front. You're going to bring one leg in towards you and then cross it over to the other side. Sit nice and tall. You're going to twist towards that bent leg, and then you can use your other arm to scoop that knee towards you and use your back arm for balance and twist. Just take a couple of deep breaths here. And do the same on the other side, so come back into centre and switch your legs. Leg comes in, crosses over. Sit tall and twist. Pull that knee towards you and keep lifted as you twist. And again, just a couple of breaths here, stretching out your hips. Okay, we're going to use our strap now, so grab your strap and lie yourself down onto your back. So, we're going to pop one foot into the strap. It wants to be at the base of your toes so that you can pull the front of the foot towards you. And then your other leg is out long on the mat. Try and get as much of the back of that leg down on the mat as possible, which might mean that this leg has to come down a little bit lower. We're looking for a neutral pelvis here, so there should be a little bit of space under the small of your back, and your hip bones and pubic bones should be on the same level. So the leg that's in the strap is just super floppy and relaxed. Pull the front of the foot towards you. And just take some deep breaths there. This is a release. So I don't want you holding your leg up by using your quads. Just kind of let all of this be relaxed. That leg's only there because that strap's holding it. So if you were to let go of the strap, the leg would just fall. Use the strap. So you're using your arms to hold that leg up. A few more breaths here. And then bring the leg across your body so that you're stretching that outer hip again. Now don't let that hip lift. We're keeping the hip anchored into the mat. We're just bringing the leg across. And then bring that leg back into centre. Slightly turn it out from the hip and take the leg out to the side. Now you can take that leg out as far as you like, as long as your other hip isn't lifted. So if this hip starts to lift, you've gone too far. A few breaths there. And then bring that leg back into centre. We're going to go into our happy baby now. So you're going to use the strap to pull that leg down towards you. Let the knee come out to the side a little bit so it's aiming more towards your armpit. And then you're trying to have this shin vertical and the sole of the foot flat towards the ceiling. So let's give the other leg a little bit of a bend, which just makes it a little bit easier for you. Pull that leg down and let's see if we can get that shin vertical and the sole of the foot flat to the ceiling. Now you can hold onto your strap or you can hold onto the outside edge of your foot if you can reach. Whichever is better for you is fine. Notice now if you've had to lift your bottom off the floor to get into this position. Can you think about untucking your tailbone so the back of your pelvis is heavy onto the mat? And then just give the back of this leg a little rub. So just give your hamstring a little rub there. And then we're going to do the strap stretch on the other side. So we're going to pop that strap onto the other leg and reach that leg up to the ceiling. We're going to straighten out your free leg. And again, the leg in the strap is just super heavy. It's super floppy in the strap. Pulling the front of the foot towards you so the heel is pressing away. And making sure again that we're in that neutral spine position. So hip bones and pubic bone are level. Little tiny space under the small of the back, and you haven't let your pelvis tilt back. So if I was to really pull that leg in towards me, you can see that my pelvis is tilted back. I'm flat through here, and there's big space under this leg. That's not a hamstring stretch. It needs to be in a more neutral position. And then just take some deep breaths there. If it feels okay for you, let's bring that leg across your body. Again, don't let your hip lift, we're just bringing the leg across. We want to get the most out of these releases and these stretches. So the reason I'm saying don't bring your hip across is because I'm kind of as far as I can go here, but if I let the hip lift, it looks like I've come really far, but in fact I've got less stretch now than I had when I was here. So we want the pelvis to be anchored, and then we're moving the leg away from the pelvis rather than taking the pelvis with us. Bring the leg back into centre, slightly turn it out from the hip and take it out to the side again, only as far as you can go without this hip lifting. So this hip wants to stay anchored on the mat, and again we're in that neutral pelvis position. And just pause for a few breaths here. And then we're going to do that little happy baby stretch on this side. So bring the leg back into centre. Again, we're going to pull it in using the strap. We're going to bend the other knee to give us a little bit more space. And we're going to try and get that vertical shin, sole of the foot to the ceiling, and allow your leg to come out slightly. You can either hold onto your strap or you can hold onto the outside edge of your foot, whichever feels better for you. Again, notice if you've had to really tuck your tailbone and your bottom's lifted out of the mat to get in this position, and see if you can tilt your pelvis away from you. Again, you're looking for that neutral pelvis, so hip bone and pubic bone on the same level. And in that happy baby position, let's give the back of the hamstring again, a little bit of the back of the leg, even a little bit of a massage, a little bit of a release. Alright, and then we're going to let that leg go. We're going to go back into our cobbler stretch again. So soles of the feet together, knees out to the side. You can get rid of your strap. Move it out of the way so that you're not going to fall over it. And then we're going to bring the knees back in together. We're going to go onto our front now. So roll onto your front for some hip extension. So lie yourself down. You can have one hand on top of the other and rest your forehead down onto your hands. You can either have your legs together or hip width apart, whichever feels better for you is fine. But what we're looking for here is that your pubic bone is anchored, which means that there's more length through your lower back. So if I let my pubic bone lift, it shortens this area, and then when I do any work at all, it's just going to be dumping into my lower back. If I anchor my pubic bone down, it's creating more space here, and that's what we want. So you're going to reach one leg away from you, make that leg as long as you can, and it will start to lift out of the mat and then lower it down. Switching sides, I'm just keeping my head up because I'm not sure if you can hear me properly when my head is fully down. So reaching the leg, keep switching sides, make the leg as long as you can and lower it down. And again on the other side. So you're trying to keep your lower back as relaxed and as quiet as you can. Try not to let your lower back do the work. You want your glutes and hamstrings to do the work. So you should be able to feel that the back of your thigh and your bottom are working super hard here. Now don't worry about how high you're lifting your leg. We don't have a huge range of extension behind us of lifting that leg, so it doesn't go very far. But what I do want you to notice is when you lift the leg, are you keeping the knee down and just lifting the lower leg? Because that's a little bit of a cheat. So make sure that you're lifting the whole leg, so your knee should be lifting away from the mat. Also notice when you lift your leg whether your pelvis is kind of rocking side to side. That's why we want to keep that pubic bone anchored. So again, the pelvis is stable, the pelvis is anchored, and then we can get the work done. One more on each side, and then we're going to rest the legs down. We're going to push ourselves up and back into that rest position just to give your back a little bit of a stretch, because quite often when we're on our front, we do create a bit of tension in our lower back. You can let your head rest down here and just take some deep breaths. And we're going to go back onto our front again. So we're going to go into quad stretch now, so stretching out the front of the thigh. We're going to bend one leg. We're going to reach our hand behind and try and grab your ankle rather than your foot. Grab your ankle. Notice now if you've had to bend at the hip and if you've had to lift that hip away from the mat, and that's just tension and tightness through the hip flexors. So if that's what's happened, you're just going to see if you can take some deep breaths and just release into that area. So each time you exhale, think about lengthening the leg away from you and creating space through the front of your hip. And just be as relaxed as you can. If you are prone to lifting your ribs and thrusting your ribs all the time, just make sure that you aren't pressing your ribs down into the mat, so keep the ribs pulled in. Okay, and then we're going to release that leg. Do the same on the other side, so bend in the leg. And reach your hand behind again. Can you grab your ankle? Keeping your pubic bone anchored if you can. Notice if you've had to lift your hip away. And if you have, can you find space to allow that hip to come back down onto the floor? And just take some deep breaths. Maybe think about sending your knee away from you to create more length. If you can't reach your ankle, then just use a strap. Okay, and then let that leg go. Go back to the first leg. We're going to take the knee out to the side for our prone inner thigh stretch. So now we are releasing the inner thighs. So one knee comes out to the side and it's bent. What I want you to notice is, have you shortened this side of your waist? So have you hitched that hip up? Can you send that hip away from you so you've got length through both sides of your waist? And then notice again, have you had to lift your hip away from the mat, or you kind of lifted and a little bit onto your side? Again, that's just hip tension. So each time you exhale, can you see if you can create more space in that hip joint to allow you to relax back down? So we are trying to eventually have the pelvis like almost completely flat so that you could rest something on there and not have to tilt the pelvis to get into this position. But you are where you are. And just take some deep breaths. So let's straighten that leg out now. So rather than having it bent, we're just going to straighten that leg out. And then again, just checking in to make sure that you haven't hitched your hip up. Can you send that hip away from you? Have you had to lift your hip bone away from the mat? Can you relax it back down? And take some deep breaths again. When you're ready, you're going to slowly bring that leg back in, and we're going to do the same on the other side. So you're going to bend the other knee out to the side. Once the knee is out to the side, you're going to notice, have you hitched your hip up? Can you send your hip away and keep length through both sides of your waist? Have you had to lift your hip away from the mat? Can you find space again through the front of your hip to allow your leg to relax down? So just, again, you're just being aware of where you are. And again, taking some deep breaths, watching that you aren't rib thrusting. And then straightening that leg out. Again, just notice, have you lifted away from the mat? to bring that leg back in. Push yourself up and back again into your rest position, just to give your lower back a little stretch. And then we're going to come back onto our front again. We're going to do a little bit of work with our upper back and shoulders now. So bring your arms down by your sides. Palms are facing in towards the sides of your trousers, and then either have your legs squeezing together or hip width apart, whichever feels better for you. Pubic bone is anchored. I've got my head hovering off the mat. You can have your head down if you prefer. Okay. So we're going to do the dart exercise now. So palms are going to stay facing in towards each other, and you're going to reach the arms behind you and then lower them down. Just move nice and slowly, there's no rush. You're checking in, see how it feels. Notice if when you reach your arms behind you they go wider, can you keep them the same distance apart the whole time? Notice here if you are pressing your rib cage into the mat, can you keep your rib cage pulled in? And then let's keep one arm down and just reach one arm behind you. Just seeing how it feels on that one side. Keep going, same side. And then switch and do the same on the other side. And then we're going to take the hands behind our back, interlace your fingers and let your hands rest down on your bottom. Can you pick up the fronts of your shoulders away from the mat and try and get your shoulder blades together in your back. So walking your shoulder blades in towards each other. Again, watching for that rib thrust, watching for the pubic bone wanting to leave the mat. Everything else stays where it is, you're just trying to walk your shoulder blades together. And then allow them to release. Push yourself up and back again into your rest position. Stretch your arms out in front, let your head rest down. Circle your arms around, down by your sides, and let them come to rest down by your feet. And when you're ready, we're going to slowly come on up to seated. Okay, so from here we're going to come on to hands and knees again. So, fingers spread wide, thumbs point towards each other and elbow pits forwards. So we've got our hands directly under our shoulders, we've got our knees directly under our hips, and our knees and feet are hip width apart. Let's let our shoulder blades come together in our back and then shoulder blades spread wide. So we're in that rhomboid push-up, shoulder blades together, shoulder blades wide. Trying to get as much movement through the shoulders as we can. And then we're going to let the shoulder blades be wide. And then we're going to try and keep the shoulder blades there. So this is your shoulders in a stable position. Make sure you've not lost your elbow pits. So make sure the elbow pits are forwards. And then can you lift one hand out of the mat? And then switch to the other side. And what you're looking for is to make sure that you aren't shifting your weight to one side, or making sure that as you lift one hand you're not collapsing into one shoulder. So there should be no change at all. You're trying to have as little movement as possible as you switch from one hand to the other. So nice and stable. And then we're going to place the hands down again, check in, fingers spread wide, thumbs point towards each other and elbow pits are forwards. We're going to tuck the toes under now. Can you press into your hands and just hover your knees off the floor and then lower them down? Same thing. So shoulder blades are spread wide, make sure that you aren't dropping into your shoulders. Can you lift both knees off the floor and lower them down? Do it again. Keep your toes tucked under. Press into your shoulders, so making sure that you aren't collapsing. Can you lift your knees off the floor and then lower them down? And then just come on off your wrists And give your wrists a little twirl around in each direction. Give them a little shake. Okay, so we're going to come back onto hands and knees again. We're going to have fingers spread wide, thumbs point towards each other and elbow pits forwards. So we've got ourselves in that really nice strong position. We're going to go into a plank now. So you're going to take one leg behind and tuck your toes under. That other leg behind, tuck your toes under so you're in a plank position. From here you're going to pike your bottom up in the air. Look back towards your toes. Push your arms away from you. Let your head just hang. And then can you pedal your feet here? Creaky mat, creaky floor. Watch out for those ribs. If you're a rib thruster, make sure that you've not dropped into your ribs. And then we're going to roll through the shoulders to come back down into a plank again. Bring one knee in, bring the other knee in, and then again just come on off your wrists for a moment. We're going to do exactly the same again. Fingers spread wide, thumbs point towards each other, elbow pits forwards. See if you can step back with the other leg first this time. So one leg steps back, the other leg steps back, and again push yourself into that downward dog position. So watch your ribs want to stay in. Can you think about sending your tailbone towards the ceiling? So there's kind of a tendency to be rounded here. Can you untuck your tailbone and stick your sit bones towards the ceiling? Can you bend and straighten both legs now? And then again, we're going to roll through the shoulders, nice and stable. Find that plank position. Bend one knee, bend the other knee. Come off your wrists, and again, just give them a little shake. I'm going to stretch out the hands a little bit now. So bring one elbow in by your side, turn the palm up, and use your other hand to pull the fingers away. And then you're just going to gently pull each finger in turn back. And then do different combinations of fingers, just so that you're stretching everywhere. Do the same on the other side. Elbow tucks in. Use your other hand to pull the fingers back. And then again, just pull in each finger in turn back. And do different combinations of fingers, just stretching through the fingers. Okay, and then give your hands a shake again. We're going to do reverse prayer hands now. So bring your hands together into prayer position and then just flip them over so the backs of the hands are together. Let your thumbs pull away from your fingers and then keeping the backs of the hands together, start to slowly lower your hands down. You're trying to get your forearms parallel to the floor. Make sure that you haven't rounded your shoulders forward, so keep your shoulders and your chest open. And just hold here. You can, if you want to, take it side to side. Or you can just keep in centre. But notice if your hands are starting to split away from each other and you need to come up a little bit higher, that's fine. Alright, just gentle circle around. And the other way. We're going to lie down on our back again. So onto your back. And you're going to lengthen your legs out long, take your arms overhead and stretch from your fingertips to your toes. Keep the ribs down though, we don't want those ribs lifting, we don't want to be arching our back, so ribs stay down. Stretch. Circle your arms out to the sides. We're going to keep the arms in that T position. We're going to bend the knees again, so feet and knees together for our spine twist. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, both knees gently roll to one side. Inhale through centre and exhale, take it over to the other side. Inhale, centre. Exhale, take it over. So just moving with the speed of your breath. If it feels nice to you, you can take your head the opposite way to your knees, or you can just keep your head in centre, whichever feels like it's doing some good for you. As you come back through centre this time, pause there and take your feet wide. So feet towards the outside edges of your mat. Exactly the same here. So both knees are going to roll to one side, up through centre and over to the other side. Just a really nice hip stretch. Again, keeping your shoulder blades anchored so you're not allowing your whole body to go. So we're going to try this movement in seated. If it's too much for you in seated, you can come back down and do it here. But coming up to seated, and then we've got one leg in forwards in like a 90-degree position and one leg behind in that 90-degree position. So lean back a little bit onto your hands. You're going to pivot onto the soles of your feet and then let your legs turn to the other side. And do that again. So again, you can lean back, use your hands to come onto the other side. So do a few of those and notice how much you need to use your hands, because maybe you don't need to use them to shuffle. Maybe you don't need to use the hands, maybe you can just move the legs without moving, leaning back. So just having a play with that. I've got one leg in internal rotation, one leg in external rotation, and we're just shifting from one side to the other. Hear my creaking back. It's not my hips, I promise. Okay, so whichever side you've gone to, the leg that's going back, we're going to see if we can lift it and straighten it out and bring it forwards. And then take it back around, bend it and lower it down. If that's too much for you, just keep going side to side. Let's try it on the other side. So that back leg, we're going to lift it, we're going to straighten it out and bring it forwards. Take it back, bend it and lower it down. Alright, we're going to bring both soles of the feet together now into your cobbler pose. And just allow your hips and your thighs to just release here. Now we're going to do a few just seated shoulder exercises just to kind of finish off. So if you need to grab a block or a cushion or something to sit on, then please do. So what you're looking for here is the ability to find a neutral pelvis. So when you're seated, if you have to kind of round a little bit and you're sitting on your tailbone, it's not a great position to be in. You need to be able to tilt your pelvis forwards to find a more neutral spine. And by having something under your hips, it will help you to find that. Okay, and then just find a comfortable position. You can sit legs crossed, legs out long, kneeling, whatever works for you. We're going to relax the shoulders down away from our ears. And then we're going to tilt the head, so bringing one ear down towards your shoulder. Feeling a stretch through the neck, through the shoulder. Gently bring your head up through centre and take it over to the other side. Again, just feel the stretch through the neck and the shoulder. And then come back through centre. Go over to that first side again. And then you're going to lift your opposite shoulder up towards your ear and then pull it down. Again, shoulder towards your ear and pull it down. One more time. Head comes up through centre and over to the other side. And again, just let's do 3. Just creating a little bit more stretch. Last one. Gently bring your head back into centre. We're going to drop your chin towards your chest now, looking down towards the floor. Creating length through the back of the neck, so let any stress and tension go through the back of your neck. And then we're going to slide the chin back. So think about keeping that length through the back of the neck, so no creases on the back of the neck. As you bring your head up, you're trying to bring your ears over your shoulders, but keeping a length through the back of the neck. Let's do that again. Chin to chest. Let any tension go, lengthen through the back of the neck, and then you're going to slide your chin back. Keep that length through the back of the neck. No creases to bring your head up. It kind of gives you a bit of a double chin, but it's really good for strengthening through the back of the neck and your upper back and shoulders. So let's just circle the shoulders around. And reverse, go the other way. We're going to gently turn our head side to side. Alright, and just come back into centre and you guys are done. So, well done. I hope that that was of some use to you. I hope that you enjoyed some of those movements there. It's just really important that we keep moving, and like I say, if you can't make it to class, then hopefully there'll be a video here that you can find that you can do to just keep moving. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.